Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Therese Houk. I'm a nurse, and I am also a yoga instructor and a distributor for LifeVantage. So welcome. We have an exciting 30 minutes of information to help us all learn what we can do to fight the virus, any virus, naturally, actually any illness naturally. So I am so thrilled that we have a special guest tonight, Dr. Rebecca Glasser, who will be sharing information about the science as well. Dr. Glasser is a plastic surgeon. She's been in practice for over 20 years, and her specialty is breast cancer reconstruction. I say breast cancer reconstruction, breast reconstruction after breast cancer. Clarify that. So what we're going to talk about tonight is a little bit about NRF2 activation, what that is, and how it helps to boost our immunity. We're also going to talk about the master antioxidant. If you've never heard of it, it's a very important antioxidant called glutathione that our body makes and how it is impacted by, I'm just going to say, by COVID or other coronaviruses. We're going to touch base on gut health, prevention, and then we'll share a little bit about this company and how great it is. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Glasser now to talk about NRF2 activation.
Wonderful. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Hope everyone is staying warm and safe out there, depending on which part of the country you're on. In looking what's going on in the world right now, obviously health and wellness is one of the priorities, I think, of everyone these days. But if you narrow that down even more, I think immune health is just so important. Whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, there's no getting around what's going on in the world today and what's going on with COVID and viruses. And then in addition to that, we're certainly in the cold and flu season. So we really wanted to talk about, what are some of the ways that you can activate your body and boost your immune system? So NRF2 activation, if you guys are writing down notes, this is such an important one to write down, because NRF2 really, the studies on this has come around since about 2009, and they are increasing exponentially. And you can see that Washington State University said in 2015 that NRF2 is likely to be the most important health promoting approach in the foreseeable future. NRF2 may become the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. Okay, what a powerful statement. So let's take a look at NRF2 and figure out, well, what does that mean? And so let's actually go back one slide. So when you're thinking about NRF2 activation, what I want you to think about is this little guardian that's sitting in your cell, whether he's a policeman or a fireman or an EMT, and he or she is running around the cell looking for insult or injury. And when he finds it, he goes back to the command center of the cell and turns on a set of genes that are called your survival genes. So you don't have to be a doctor or a nurse to know that survival genes are a great thing to have and a great thing to activate right now. So some of those survival genes are things like antioxidant enzymes. Okay, so many of us take antioxidants, right? It's cold and flu season. Many of us are like, okay, I need my chicken noodle soup. I need my green tea. I need my vitamin C. I want to take all these antioxidants to help protect my body against cold and flu season. But the way that antioxidants work is I always think of it as one and done. Okay, so if I took my vitamin C this morning, that vitamin C would interact with one free radical, one bad guy. Both would be destroyed. and then the whole process would be over. So there's no way that you can eat enough blueberries or eat enough kale or drink enough green tea to ever truly make a difference. Versus what NRF2 activation does. It's flipping that switch within the cell. It's flipping that switch within the body. And you're making more antioxidant enzymes. I think about those enzymes as though they were little Pac-Man, right? And they're going around in the cell and they're gobbling up free radicals at a rate of 1,000,000 times per second to 1. So you can see how antioxidant enzyme production is so much more important than antioxidants. Now, we're going to still tell you, you got to eat right. You have to have a good diet. You should still have a diet that's rich in all of these antioxidants. But this is different. This is activation. So if you go to the next slide and we start talking about activation and antioxidant enzymes, the master antioxidant enzyme is what's called glutathione, right? So that's another one to write down and look up, because this one is the Mac Daddy of all antioxidant enzymes, okay? And so we want to activate glutathione. We want to figure out ways to do it. Many of you guys may have taken glutathione. Sometimes you'll see it on the store shelves as a pill. The problem with that is it's not well absorbed. So why take it? It's not really working. For Therese and I in the medical field, particularly in breast cancer, we give IV glutathione. That works well. But who wants to go and get IVs all the time, right? So go to the next slide, please. So what does glutathione do? This master antioxidant, what does it do? Well, along with the immune system, it does a lot of other things in your body. It can help with energy. It helps slow down the aging process. It can help with joint pain. It can help your liver. It can help with mental focus and clarity, sleep, stress, skin, right? But tonight, we're really focusing on what glutathione does in strengthening our immune system. So next slide. So our product, Protandim NRF2, does just this. What it is doing is it's helping reduce what we call oxidative stress on average 40% in 30 days. Well, what does that mean? So oxidative stress is our body's rusting from the inside out. So think of that as though if you took a piece of metal and you left that metal outside, that metal would rust. Or if you cut an apple in half and left it on the counter, that apple would brown. That is oxidation or exposure to oxygen. So the same thing is happening on the inside of our bodies. As we get older, our oxidative stress is just going up and up and up. And so the very first study that was ever published on Protandim NRF2 basically said, okay, well, if I gave Therese Protandim for 30 days and then I measured her oxidative stress, we could see that it reduces it on average 40% in 30 days, and 100% of those tested. Okay, that's quite a figure. But what I want you to understand is the way that it works is by flipping the switch on NRF2 activation. Okay, that's how our product works. When you go back to glutathione, one of the studies done on Protandim NRF2 shows that it increases glutathione levels by 300% in 120 days. Okay, so you're up to full scale at about 4 to 6 months is when it's truly activating. So to me, this is so important in your immune health. Now, obviously, it does a lot of many other things as well, but tonight we're going to concentrate on immune health. So let's go to the next slide. And Therese is going to talk a little bit about what are some of the other things you can do to promote your natural immunity.
So before we go into gut health, I wanted to just share that, you know, glutathione, I've read a few studies that are talking about glutathione depletion in COVID patients. And they're finding that people that are hospitalized have glutathione depletion, and people that have long-term effects from COVID are depleted in their glutathione levels. So don't you think it would be a good idea to take something that could boost your glutathione levels? So gut health, what does that have to do with boosting immunity? Well, as it turns out, I didn't know this, 70% of our immune system is created in our gut. What? 70% of the immunity? So what does that mean? Do we need to just eat healthy to have a healthy gut? Or is there something else? Well, there is more to it than just eating healthy. You have to have a healthy microbiome. You have to have healthy bacteria. And that in this day and age is hard to come by anymore. Most medications will affect your gut microbiome, antibiotics in particular. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I went through chemotherapy, so my gut microbiome was completely destroyed. And here's a paper that just talks, just really says you have to look at your gut if you want to boost immunity. So how can we improve the bacteria in our gut? Well, pretty much everybody knows that probiotics are good bacteria, and you can find probiotics in food, in drinks, in yogurt. You can go to the health food store and you see a whole row of different probiotics that you can purchase, right? And so, when I went through my chemotherapy, I knew I needed a good probiotic. So I went to the back of the health food store. I got the best, most expensive probiotic I could find. Well, here's the bad news. What I didn't realize, whoops, this is kind of off center. I don't know if I can, you can kind of see the top part of the pie. So 4% in this pie on the right, if you see that 4%, that is how effective any probiotic is that does not have a special coating on it. Because what happens is when you eat a probiotic or take a pill, most of it, 96% of that probiotic is destroyed in your stomach. That's what stomach acid does, is it destroys bacteria. So very poor outcome, 4%. We have a special coating on our probiotic. It allows the bacteria to move from the stomach into the gut, into the intestines, which is where it works, where it's going to help our immune system. And so we have a 60 to 70% effectiveness. It's a great product. I've had people with IBS who've had wonderful results. But I just think it's so important to help our gut so that we can boost our immunity. The third thing that we're going to talk about is prevention. And so I'm going to have Dr. Glasser talk about that now.
Yeah, so as you look at these ingredients, I am guessing that a bunch of you guys already have these in your cupboard. And if you look at a lot of the doctor protocols for early treatment of COVID, as well as other illnesses, these should look pretty familiar. So vitamin C, okay, a lot of people take vitamin C. Vitamin D is an absolute must. Zinc, that is so important in immunity. Elderberry syrup, that's another common immune one. And then this last piece of it is fermented yeast. And so the problem to me is you're like, this is another 5 pills, that I have to take. And so what we did was we combined all of these together to create what we call daily wellness, which is a single scoop. Okay. But what I want to talk about is I think most of you guys are familiar with those first 4 ingredients, But that last ingredient is quite interesting, the fermented yeast. There's such a wonderful story behind that. So there was a gentleman who was creating feed for his livestock. And what he realized is by adding fermented yeast into his livestock feed, that his livestock would be healthier. Well, his company got quite big. And what he realized was his factory workers who were producing this fermented yeast, not eating it, but just they're in the room producing it, they're breathing it in, they never got sick. And so they did a number of studies on this fermented yeast, and they realized, holy cow, this is such a great way to boost the immune system. And so what we did with LifeVantage was to combine these 5 together to make it simple. But I really like that we added in that final fermented yeast to make it really work, to make it different than what's out there on the market. Now, I love this picture of Rhonda, and you can see, I think this is what a lot of us do, right? We have, okay, here's my vitamin C, here's my kombucha, here's my vitamin D, all of these different things, and you're taking all these different pills, and it's just pill fatigue, right? But in addition to that, this picture is important because I think a lot of people take emergency or other very high dose antioxidants like vitamin C as soon as they feel that little tickle. And what we have found is, again, we want to be on the side of prevention. What can we do daily in order to boost our immune system where right when we get that tickle, we're not taking all this stuff and we're not taking so much zinc that we get a stomach ache because it's hurting our stomach. So what we've done, again, is combined all of that into that drink, and you can see Rhonda holding it there. You just add it to water. It has acai flavoring, and it's really a beautiful mixture of all of these together. Next slide, please. And so this is what we call our immune health essentials stack. And so again, in this past year, the company has really tried to be very problem focused. And to me, if the problem is immune health, if that's what you're trying to fix, if that's your highest priority, this is a beautiful combination of these 3 products. So the Protandim Nerf 2, of course, helps increase antioxidant production, glutathione, SOD, catalase, other things. It helps make your cells healthy and helps to fight off things that are attacking you. The Daily Wellness is, of course, that combination of vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, as well as the fermented yeast, all into one single powder. And then the probiotics, Therese talked about how important gut health is, again, for your immunity. Next slide, please.
So I'm going to share a little bit about our company, because a lot of people, might be thinking, well, who are you? What are you doing? LifeVantage is not commonly known yet. And we've been around a while, though. We've been around since 2003. We started as a little biotech company. Our only product was Protandim NRF2, and we were sold at GNC stores. We didn't do very well in GNC stores because these products are, when you compare them to everything else that's in a health food store, and a little store clerk has to try to explain what NRF2 actually does, it just was not a good model. And so in 2009, we actually switched from the retail market to direct sales, and that's where we are today. John Canonis did a story on us with the ABC Primetime Investigative Report. We still have that story today. He was supposed to debunk our company, but he could not. He actually showed that what we said we were doing was actually happening. So it's a really, really good story. And another important thing that I love about our company is that we are publicly traded on the NASDAQ. So our finances are transparent. As a matter of fact, we are debt-free. We became debt-free in 2020 during COVID. So it's very powerful. It's a solid company. You don't have to worry about us going bankrupt. And, as for me, having my own home-based business, as I told you, I'm a nurse and, working my 12-hour shifts, weekends, holidays is getting old. And so I'm ready to do something on my terms, so that I don't have to get up at dark 30 every, in the morning. I don't have to miss Christmas because I'm working, which happened this year. And so my goal is to grow my business. And this company is just awesome because it does all of the hard work, all of the paperwork that I don't want to do. I don't have to have a bunch of product in my garage. It's all online. And I'm still helping people. I'm helping people get healthy. That's what my job is just to teach people and share this information with everyone. So I'll turn it back to Dr. Glasser to end this.
Yeah, so COVID has been with us, right, for 2 years, and unfortunately, it's going to be with us through 2022. When I think about any disease, you want to think about things in three different ways, right? So prevention, to me, is one of the biggest parts of that. If you can prevent something, that's the best thing you can do. The second part is early treatment, right? If you can treat things early so you don't have complications and you don't have death, then that's good. And then we don't want to get to that point where we are, treating people in the hospital and in the ICU. So again, I think it doesn't matter whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated at this point, right? If you're looking at the numbers, you're seeing that vaccinated people are also getting sick, unvaccinated people are getting sick. It's just here to stay. And to me, that's why we've had so many people, raise their hand and be interested in prevention, because this is such a big factor. So, take responsibility for your health. What can you do yourself in order to build your immune system, to get healthy, and to be able to live your life? Because I think that we've lived with this for 2 years. The mental health crisis has been awful. And we're all looking for quality of life, being able to live our life, have confidence that our immune system is strong, and to move forward and enjoy life. So, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We had a lot of different people on tonight. So we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg, right? There's so much more information that we haven't had a chance to cover. So what I would say is make sure you touch base with the person who invited you to listen to this talk and ask questions. If you have more questions about the science, get on a three-way call with Therese or I and learn more about it. But take action, take prevention, and take control of your life.